What's going on, guys? We're back. Today's topic is going to be men of color and femininity, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. So, who wants to get us started?
So, I think first of all, what is femininity to you guys?
Femininity. I think you should answer that. And then, ping pong.
I should answer it?
Yeah. Lead us off.
Femininity to me is being girly and pretty and flowery and soft and dainty and fun and glittery. That's femininity to me.
Okay. Woo! I can agree for the most part. Yeah, I think that's a pretty strong definition of femininity. I think it has a lot to do with, just being gentle for the most part. Because, the perception that the society has of women is supposed to be soft, caring, nurturing, all that good stuff. So all of those words would go into the definition of what femininity would mean to.
Nurturing goes with femininity?
I think so. I would say so. Mm-hmm.
I'll say strong. I'll say independent. Because out of that word that you mentioned, you could form feminists in that. Because I think that come out of it. That's where the strong aspect of it comes in. Because you can't really be. I mean, this is just me personally. I don't think you could be a feminist without being, feminist. So, you can't. You got to have that also. And in terms of male, like how do we, is it allowed or are we? I think it depends on your background. That has a lot of influence in you, your culture,
your upbringing.
Your dad. That has a lot of things to do with it. Your race must be soft, and that they're not gonna tell you that, but that's the way they're trying to shape you. Really.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You can't be soft. You can't be even social media. All these movies that we watch and stuff like that. They all indirectly tell us not to be soft. You know what I mean? As a male child, once you're born in this world, the burden is in your head because you have to be able to take care of your family. Mm-hmm. That comes with it. That's a lot of pressure. You understand? That's a lot of pressure, and you can't be soft. Even there's some females that will not really rock with you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
as a man, if you're soft, most females they don't like that. It's a major turn off. So.
Is it though?
Yeah, I mean,
really?
I was going to say, I just feel like we can't really talk about femininity in its entirety without talking about masculinity.
Word.
Exactly.
And what you think masculinity is.
Word.
Because we're taught at a young age what both of them things are, but then as we grow and we evolve as people, we start to form our own ideas of what that really means to us in our world. And so many things come into play, like your ethnic background, your cultural background, your privilege, like your income level, everything has something to do with what's considered feminine and masculine, and people from different places in life look at it differently. So it gets complicated, but I really think that you got to talk about masculinity in order to talk about either or. You got to talk about either or.
I mean, what do you define as? What are the traits or the characteristics that you usually have? So that guy is masculine. The question is to you, tell me.
I feel like masculinity has to do with protecting, providing, and kind of just being firm and having some conviction, having some sort of being undecisive. To me, that's how I would look at a guy. What type of a guy are you? You can't even.
Are you equating indecisiveness with femininity?
No, I'm not. I'm equating it with not being responsible, but I feel like both femininity and masculinity require responsibility, because I'm looking at it from a standpoint of parents. Mm-hmm. That's the ultimate epitome of masculinity and femininity to me. A mother, there's nothing's more feminine than a mother with her child, but nothing's more masculine than a than a father with his child. You know, and like that's where like your survival instincts come into play, and that I think that has a lot to do with gender identity. Is like survival instincts. Like, what role are we supposed to play in order to support each other and survive in the world?
Right.
You know.
So, are femininity and masculinity the same as sexuality?
No, I don't think so.
It's a difference.
I feel like with sexuality, it's really who you're attracted to. But with masculinity and femininity, it's how you identify. Like what type of, how you identify in the world. I don't think, you know, because you could be feminine and still like feminine people, other women. Like you could be a woman that's feminine and like other women. You could be a man that's feminine and like other women. You could be a man that's feminine and like other men.
Absolutely.
So it's not like necessarily tied into each other. They're two separate things. They just kind of coexist. Like it's not mutually exclusive. That's what I'm trying to say.
I mean, it's sex versus gender, right? I mean, your sex is what you were born as. Your gender or the roles that you take on are how you identify. So, like, it's super like complicated.
Is it fluid?
Huh?
Is it fluid?
Is what fluid?
Sexuality.
I don't think it's binary. I don't think sexuality is a binary thing. I think there's no you're this or that. There's obviously a gray area because you have people who identify as, you know, God damn it, what the hell is the word I'm looking for? People that identify as bisexual, but then you also have folks who identify as men, but like men. Or women who identify as like men, but like women, or whatever the case may be. So,
transgender.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not binary, but for a lot of folks, it's hard to grasp that concept.
Right.
So, somebody like myself, I struggle with trying to understand it, so I don't even.
You don't touch it.
You are who you are.
Yeah.
Not factually, you are who you are. Like, I'm not gonna sit there and try to decipher it and put you in this category and you in that category. The only thing that I know about myself is that if I identify as a cisgender male, there are certain things that would be considered a gender role for a woman that I wouldn't subscribe to, and that's just me.
Yeah.
Like
you know what I mean? Like, I don't cross-dress. That's not something I would do. I identify as a cisgender male. Old traditional Nigerian, that's how I was brought up. So I don't think that putting on a wig for a movie role is something that's within my values to do. So.
What about things like men getting manicures and pedicures?
That's hygiene.
You know,
that's hygiene.
But some people consider that feminine.
That's not.
NFL players, manis and pedis. You know what I mean? And those are the biggest, strongest men on the planet. So
man, I get manicures and pedicures. What you talking about?
Well, like I said, that's hygiene though. So like for the people,
some people don't consider it though.
Some people don't, but
some people are like, "Whoa, that's super gay. Like, why is he going to get a mani pedi?"
And those people.
Not that I feel that way, but
no,
there are people who feel that way though.
Ignorant people.
That's just ignorant.
And like people, that's the thing about.
Then people call it metro.
Especially.
I don't know what metro.
I would say
men. It's like cisgender men with taste, pretty much. With fashion sense and they take care of themselves, which is bullshit because I cut my own. I clip my toenails. I clip my fingernails. I take a shower. I don't like to stink. Like, so am I metrosexual because I take care of my body? Like, that's stupid. That doesn't make any sense.
But why is it a bad thing to be metrosexual?
Well,
why does it have
some manly men? Yeah.
Why is the label necessary? Why is the label
like
necessary?
The guys who drink beer and then.
Why is the label necessary? Why does it have to be metrosexual? Why does it have to be bisexual? Why can't you just be a human being who's attracted to men and women? That's it.
That makes sense.
We are so obsessed with these social constructs and these labels.
I think it has a lot to do with anatomy. Like, I feel like since the beginning of time, women have an anatomy that it has a lot of power over men. And men also have their anatomy, right? Like, it goes both ways, and I think looking from the outside in, each of us, in women and men, they look from the outside in and they're like, how can I have the upper hand in this situation? It's like that Venus versus Mars type of thing. And like, I feel like men has just been like, well, I could do stuff you can't do. And then women are like, well, then you can't come around me if that's how you're gonna be, because I know you want to be around me.
Yeah.
And I think the anatomy, it separates sexuality from gender, but it also creates this like whole complicated situation when it comes to, you know, who does what, because people just want to have power over one another. I feel like at the end of the day, people just want to feel safe and feel like I got this under control. And it comes down to like telling women what they can and can't do, or should or shouldn't do, and vice versa. And women probably telling men what they can and can't do, or what they should or shouldn't do. You know.
I think anybody who wants to have power over somebody else is kind of a weak-minded person, and you shouldn't be in any kind of relationship where it's like you're trying to keep power over someone. You know, I just. Any kind of friendship, you should be, you know, empowering each other. And
I think that's why we're seeing more relationships that are a lot more liberal, a lot more open, where men aren't afraid of having a woman that's career driven and coming home. You know, like that's why we're seeing that now. But I'm talking about like, let's go back to Egypt, let's go back to ancient Rome, let's go back. All these men were like, you are not doing all of these things. I don't want people to see you shining like that. You're just for me. You're my possession. So women were like, well, if I can't do anything, you better be damn good at bringing in all the treasure and conquering everybody else and making sure that I'm on top of everything, because you're not letting me go out and use my talents. So I'm just saying, like that.
Gender roles have ruled societies forever.
Exactly.
Forever and ever and ever. But now I think it's evolving. It's changing.
Sure is.
But I think that like in communities of color, I think there's a lot of resistance.
Of course, because we're a hyper-masculine culture. And the black man has been put on this pedestal of strong and provider and all of this stuff. I mean, going back to slavery times and before that, that's literally how generations have been raised. So in order to break that stigma, I mean, it's 2018. This has been a movement of trying to break gender norms and societal norms for what, 15, 20 years? So it's still new.
But what about the people who argue the the Willie Lynch argument, the buck breaking argument that you know the emasculation, of the black man, and they feel disrespected by all of this.
That's a real.
Do they have a valid point?
Why not? Why not? That's their opinion.
And we see it a lot too now with the prison complex.
Yes.
Like if you I don't know, but if you've had family that's been in prison, men, or been in relationships, or have like homeboys or whatever, it just seems like everything when they're in prison becomes about having a girl on the outside that's holding them down and being able to stay. Like I still have someone, like I'm still valued by females. Like that, my manhood is still intact.
I don't think the value necessarily always comes from having a woman on the outside. I think it comes down to power.
Yeah. Right, that's what I'm saying, but feeling like I still have my manhood intact, like women still, like I still have a woman.
Yeah, but they don't necessarily in prison defend their manhood to maintain their status of power.
No, I just think it gives.
I don't want to say they're all in there doing things, but you know it happens.
Yeah.
But it's real. It happens.
Yeah.
And they get raped. Just say it. They get raped.
Exactly.
But I'm talking about like their ego and as a man, like feeling like they're still worth something as a man. You know, like I have girls on the outside that pick up my phone calls every time.
But they're doing
because just being in prison is emasculating.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
Your power is taken away from you for all of those reasons. So you don't get to call the shots.
Yeah,
They go when they tell you to, you eat when they tell you to, you watch TV.
And then even when they come out, it's like
you're still on a leash.
Yeah, but you're still on a leash, but you a lot of the trauma that they experience on the inside, when they're out, they kind of exert a lot of what they had to suppress on the inside, because they're like, no, you're not going to tell me when to come home. I'm free, like now. You're not going to tell me.
But it's an illusion.
Right. But in their minds, it's like, now I can exert all the things that I couldn't do in jail. I can do it now. And even if I love you, or I love my family, or, you know, my mom did all this stuff for me while I was in prison, I'm still not going to listen to her. I'm going to do what I want when I want because now I can. And it's like a result of that, of being treated that way.
I don't think that's necessarily always the case, though.
No, I'm not saying always the case, but I've seen it over and over and over again.
Yeah, and sometimes from the outside, that's what it looks like, but sometimes it's habit. Sometimes they don't know any other way but to do things this way, and it looks like, oh, they're just doing what they want when they want, but nobody ever taught them anything else besides being, you know, institutionalized or, you know, just living this way.
Right.
And a lot of it is survival. A lot of it is PTSD. A lot of it is, you know, is all these demons that they have. A lot of it is, you know, just having all of this.
And I'm not talking about crime. I'm just talking about in general. Like if you're in a relationship with someone before you went to prison, you always made sure you were spending your like Friday nights with that person, or you were every Sunday, the whole day was a family day or something like that. And then when you come out, you're a whole different person, and you're like, you know what? I'm not doing nothing bad. I just want to be with my boys because I've been for 2-3 years. That's how I've been living, and it's become
But sometimes with my boys, it's a toxic situation that gets me right back where I was.
Sometimes.
Most of the time, 9 times out of 10, if you're coming back to the same situation you were in before you went.
But it could be.
We can kind of go off the rails.
It depends on the case. If it's someone that's been in and out all their life, but if it's the first time, you know, if somebody just got caught up in something. I think there's like a lot of iterations of it that happens.
So the reason why this topic was brought up in the first place is because there was a photo shared within our group chat about with 3 young men with flowers in their hair, and we know that the current state of hip hop for some of the younger artists like Lil Uzi Vert and Lil Yachty and you know Tekashi 6ix9ine and rest in peace Tentacion. All of these guys have a certain swagger and they have adopted a style that to a lot of older heads in hip hop have considered to be feminine. And we didn't do that. We wore Timberlands and our jeans were sagging and pants hanging off the ass, which is sus. But so there's been this clash between the older heads in hip hop and the younger heads, and you know the whole femininity thing, the whole hypermasculinity, toxic masculinity thing has been something that has plagued us for a while, and it's starting to come to light because there's a lot of things that are happening that are breaking down these barriers. So like these young men are actually like they're frontiers. They don't even know it. Like the Lil Uzi Verts, him wearing handbags and all of this, and Young Thug wearing dresses on his album cover and all of this other stuff. They're breaking down barriers and they're saying fuck you to these social constructs. So my question to the panel, to the group is, you know, how do y'all feel about that? And like is there not a problem, but like how do we combat the naysayers who are still like, yo, that's that gay shit. I don't wear dresses. Like how do we combat that as a collective of people who are not constricted within that box? You know what I mean?
Can I answer as a mom to a boy?
Of course.
I don't have a problem with it per se. I am not going to raise my son that way. I believe I like to adhere to certain gender roles, and you know I adapt them as they suit me. And I think that it's my responsibility as a parent to teach my son tolerance, but also to instill in him my values and what I think is right. That's my prerogative as a parent. But also it's my responsibility to teach him tolerance and to teach him that not everybody is going to think the same way as you, and it doesn't make them a good or a bad person, and it doesn't make you right or wrong. It just is what it is, and you have to accept people where they are.
And that's boom. That's what it is. That's if you're a teacher or an educator of some kind working with young people. Like some of the toxic masculinity that exists within rap and hip hop, the culture,
real.
It's crazy.
It's
and you
real,
know, you got guys
sick.
like Lil Boozy talking about, you know, why you putting that gay shit? These niggas kissing on TV on these cartoons. I want my kids watching that.
Then don't let your kids watch it.
Your kids shouldn't be watching TV anyway, Lil Boozy. Like newsflash, bro. Like make them read some Dr. Seuss books or The Giving Tree or Where the Wild Things Are. a number of fucking children's books. Because when I was a kid, I was not allowed to watch TV.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But also, that's not your place to tell him like not to do X, Y, Z with your kids. But if you have a problem with something, then censor it.
Yeah,
you know?
Facts. Like that's the thing about where we are today with social media stuff, as far as access to things that are gay or homosexual or feminine. It's like you don't have to complain about it. You can just not allow your kids to have access
first
to
of all,
it.
it's not your business.
It's not your
like
business.
if you're not into it.
As long as you control like whatever is being shown in your own household. That's it.
But the reality is we live in a progressive time. We live in a super revolutionary time. So I think it's important that we teach tolerance, because if not, we're going to keep living in this polarized society that's really in this gray area and just fighting amongst themselves. Like, it makes no sense. It's none of my business what you choose to put on your body or who you choose to have sex. That has nothing to do with
you.
Like, unless you're imposing your will upon me, don't come rub up against me doing that stuff, because I don't personally like it. But do you? I'm not going to judge you for it. I'm not going to think you're a terrible person.
I mean, it's like that. Okay,
I will.
If you're like,
I will.
Like,
basically,
you think they're a bad person?
I will. That's Riley Friedman's voice. Sorry. I'm half serious on that. I try not to judge people, but internally, of course, I do.
You're absolutely entitled to your opinion.
Everybody has a bias.
You're supposed to do that, but at the end of the day, you don't impose your will.
Yeah.
Somebody else.
I think it goes back to like when you describe like something that's homosexual in the same sentence as like being
something that's bad,
or as something that's feminine.
Yeah,
like that doesn't. I know tons of like feminine guys who are not necessarily gay. Like, I mean, there are some that I know that are, and some that I know that they're not. Right? So it's just like
word.
It is.
We're just individuals.
It is what it is, and it's just like it also goes down to like, especially when you talk about hip hop. And even like me as a Latina, like going into like Latin trap or like even bachata, merengue, like all that stuff is all about men being with women and being attracted.
It's very misogynistic, but when you look at it, all the dances are very feminine. The mannerisms, the clothing. It could be considered feminine if you're not aware of the culture.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
But it's so crazy because the things don't always translate the same way, yet we stick to these like polarizing ideas of how the world is supposed to work. Like, the rest of the world is not.
And there's a lot of homophobia, right? There's homophobia in the music. Like, for the longest in hip hop, especially, I mean, and then even like like I said, like in bachata, merengue, all that stuff, there's a lot of homophobia. It's like that's a taboo. Like, you can't sit here and act like you're a man and still be gay. Like, you can be a man and still be gay.
Yeah.
Like, you can definitely be a man and still be gay. But people act like, nah, you're just like, you're not a real man if you're gay. And I don't think that's necessarily true. I know plenty of men who are gay and they're men because they do the things that men are supposed to do for their families.
But it's not even what men are supposed to do. It's about what people are supposed to do.
Right.
Like, we attach these genders to these actions, and in reality, anyone is capable of doing any of these things.
Right.
Well, the complexity comes in to me is that they're always going to exist. They're not going to not exist. So, like, we can have discussions about how it's frustrating that you're trying to fit into these boxes. You know what I mean? Like, the man box is a construct by a very prolific public speaker who talks about toxic masculinity in a way in which he explains how his father was so hyper masculine that he was afraid to cry in front of the women after his son was shot and murdered. So he waited until he got into the limo and cried in front of his son, and then said, "I respect you for not crying because, like, just you're more of a man than me." Like, that's crazy. Your son,
your mental illness to me.
Your teenage son was just murdered, and you're giving your 11, 12-year-old son props.
But think about how persistent these ideals have been. Like, it's everywhere.
Nuts.
It's everywhere.
nuts. It's
But
fucking
I
nuts.
think we're moving towards. I mean, it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be.
We're making progress, big time.
making strides.
At least we talking about
I
it.
think it comes down to social pressure too, because like even that like dialogue that we just had right before you came in, it made me reflect. Like I subconsciously was like, men are supposed to do because I've always been taught like, oh, a man is
we're like indoctrinated.
a man is supposed, like I was taught, a man is supposed to provide for his family, a man is supposed to protect his family.
A person is supposed to do that,
right? But my mom has always provided for my family, has always done those things.
Single mom, it's a complete contradiction of single mom.
So it's just crazy that like we subconsciously think that way.
At the same time, I do know that we think that way. But I'll talk about like the minority community. We are really spiritual, so we do a lot of things by Bible or by or by.
I'm part of the minority
So
community.
you can't escape that fucking book.
So that
you can't. It's everywhere.
So
it's so persistent.
So when you have these people that talk about men shouldn't be doing this, be doing that, they have a value like that too.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? When they look at
but also women should be doing this.
No, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure in the Bible it defines clearly what the role of women is.
I think it comes down to undertones.
But a man is also capable.
I'm not disputing that.
Outside of bearing a child.
Listen, I'm not disputing that. You know what I mean? I'm not disputing that. But I'm just saying, these other people that think that a men should be this. The female should be this.
It'll be like that.
But what about the people that don't think that they're necessarily only just male and female? Like, what about
that's what I'm saying.
What about the people with the different?
That's where the tolerance comes in. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure that's in the Bible too.
That word sounds so crazy that we have to, when we say tolerance,
that's what I come
about like how people see themselves. That's so crazy to me. But like, I get where you're coming from because elder Africans, they don't want no parts of the LGBTQ community. They don't respect it. They don't think it's a thing. Like I've seen videos of people who are gay men beaten, burned alive in the street, broad daylight in African countries because of their homosexuality. Jamaicans, Trinidadians, Caribbeans, the list goes on.
Yeah.
So like the fact that we have to tolerate how people feel within themselves is crazy to me. It's crazy. Like, if it's not you and it has no bearing on your personal life, just ignore it.
Just ignore it. Doesn't that go back to the power thing?
You gotta,
people having ownership over each other's bodies. Yeah. That whole like, oh, that's mine. He's mine. That's mine.
The thing is,
people are not possessions.
The thing is, you're right. And if somebody feels like they need to have power over somebody, especially if it's a family member, like, why are you gay? Why do you like men? Or why do you like women? Blah blah blah. Listen.
But that's why the attitude persists, though, is because we feel like we have a place to say how other people should live their lives and how they should feel about themselves and what they should do in their day in and day out. And people feel like they have their power over
you as the individual have to just reject that.
But
it's a tough thing to do.
It's a tough thing to do as an individual, but certain individuals of color are taught that you're supposed to listen to what everybody else says.
That's a fact.
You're supposed to do these things. This is how you're supposed to live your life, and you're wrong, and you're going to burn in hell if you don't live this way. You're taught this narrative.
You're talking about the church people.
I'm not talking about just the church people. I'm talking about anybody who feels like they have a right. The fact that my uterus is regulated by the government, that's a problem.
That's nuts.
That goes to show you that my body is property.
Word.
It goes back to
power, and that's why people feel like they have a right to say, "Oh, you can't live your life this way." And nothing against you or the Bible, but social constructs like that reinforce this.
Facts.
And I think it's just like people's reactions to you. Think about children, right? The most purest, innocent beings are children. Ever since they're little, they start to learn from undertones.
Gender roles.
Yeah.
Right? But
all of that is socialized.
Gender roles, how is it taught? It's taught by people's reactions to them.
Yeah.
Right? They're made they're made to feel bad without people don't even realize that they do it to children.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's like
it's second nature.
they'll see a kid.
Especially little girls. Little girls are oh my God, so much shame is instilled on little girls from such a young age.
And it's like people have power over each other because people do care about the way other people react to them. And I think that's where it really stems from. It's like, oh, I'm gonna go into a room. How are all these people gonna receive me? How are people gonna receive me? Or are people gonna receive me?
But they're receiving you based on how they're taught to receive you, based on what they're told gender roles are supposed to be.
Based on how you act.
Right.
But I say fuck them because I tell jokes. I make fun of all of this shit. Fuck them. Fuck them till they dead.
Yeah.
Not literally.
Shouldn't be
Don't
worried
fuck
about
anybody.
anybody.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be worried about anybody.
South Park reference. You gotta understand. You gotta understand that
I don't get out enough, huh?
You don't watch TV.
I haven't watched South Park since I was like.
Anyway, the character on that show was fucking people to death. Literally.
That's
And he's a homosexual
Toxic
character.
masculinity much?
No, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, like, what do you guys think though? Like, do you guys think this is gonna change anytime soon?
It's already changing.
Yeah, it's already changing.
It's changing now.
Yeah.
It's just that the dinosaurs have to get with the program, or they're just gonna.
Well,
I mean,
they're die off anyway.
The discourse is
True.
definitely
Baby
happening.
boomers are
In
dying.
order for some change to come, there has to be some discourse, and it's happening right now. And I think that there will be drastic change in a number of years.
What a time to be alive, huh?
Yeah.
It's very uncomfortable for a lot of older people, but it is.
It's uncomfortable for a lot of young people. You gotta realize there are people our age that don't feel this way. They feel exactly how those dinosaurs feel.
It's a struggle for myself. It's a process, but I believe in nonviolence. I am a pacifist 1,000%. So part of studying the Kenyan principles and steps in nonviolence, it doesn't allow me to hate on anybody for anything, any individual. So that includes that includes how you feel about yourself and what your sexuality is and all that good stuff. And I've been taught this since I was 14 years old. So I've been working on it for 15 years.
Exactly.
And I'm gonna work on it for the rest. Yeah, I'm working on it.
And think about the people who are way behind you that are not even aware that they need to work on it yet.
You know what? I just thought of a good example, right? One day I'm talking to my little niece. She's like 8 years old. And I'm talking to her about her dad or whatever. And I'm just like, your dad's beautiful. You know, she's like, why do you use the wrong word? And I said, what are you talking about? She goes,
I do that all the time too.
but beautiful doesn't necessarily have to mean feminine.
Exactly.
Beautiful could be a house. If it could be a beautiful house, it doesn't mean a house is feminine.
But think about language though. We even put masculine and feminine like
undertones on language.
Not undertones. What's the word?
She was like, you're supposed to say handsome, Didi. And I'm like,
I am not.
I could say handsome.
You wrote a book. How you got an English major? Fake news. How you wrote a book and you don't know it? What the fuck? Stephanie, chill out. You better stop. God damn it. But I feel you. I know.
Pronouns.
There you go.
Pronouns.
There you go.
We give masculine and feminine pronouns to everyday objects. In language.
But I'm a beef with both of y'all on that because I feel too listen. A person can be beautiful.
Exactly.
But a man though.
But that's what we attach gender to everything.
So what you trying to say? Listen, so what you trying to say is
no.
Yes, a man can be beautiful.
Her for me, she for me.
If that's how you identify, yes, I could.
Listen,
I understand that, but man,
for me.
If that's how you identify, I could, right? But I'm saying we attach gender.
But don't be offended. Don't be offended.
Internally,
if somebody uses the wrong word.
But I
would be offended if that's not how I identify. If you tell me that you would like to be addressed as he, him, then I would address you that way out of respect. But if you say that you would like to be addressed as her or she, I would address you that way out of respect. That's your choice.
So the next question with that is, so you won't have a problem if a grown man tells you that he wants to use the women's bathroom.
Personally, I have a problem with it.
Hey,
listen, I'm not arguing what's right or wrong here. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm saying that we attach gender to everything. If you look in any other language, there are male and female pronouns attached to even everyday objects. Tables are feminine. Cars are feminine.
It's Spanish.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And now we are getting to a point where people are deciding that they don't want us, that if I decide that I don't want to be she, her, I can say I identify with him. That's where we're going. Like that's.
And that's complicated as fuck.
But that's where
there are people
that's the gray area. That's the muddy area.
That's the area I stay the fuck away from because it's too much. It's like, all right.
But how are we gonna get through it if you're staying away from it?
Listen,
by just calling a person their name.
Thank you.
That's the only way that's acceptable.
I want to get it right, but I always mess it up because
if I introduce myself as Stephanie,
so like I just call my friend
Stephanie.
I wanted to be a Super Saiyan when I was a kid. And I'm still trying to.
But that's the thing, right? But making jokes like this is considered intolerance. Because these people, but these transgender people feel that way. They feel like they're in the wrong body, so don't call me she or her because I feel like I'm a him, and that's their right to do that.
But if I address you the way you asked me to, and we still can't make these jokes, that's crazy to me. Like that's where it becomes. That's where it becomes because we can't sit there and act like there's a bunch of people out there that aren't just trying to look to be offended. So, and not for nothing. people of color.
I can't get it right all the time. Sometimes I just
so
call them by their name.
That just if you identify as Andrew and you used to be Andrea, then listen, Andrew, what's up, my nigga? Like, let's go. Let's get it popping. What are we doing? You know what I mean? Like that's where I'm at with it. But I'm not gonna sit there and try to like, all right, Caitlyn used to be Bruce. She's Caitlyn now. I'm gonna call her Caitlyn. That's all of this to it. But there's a lot of folks out there that are going to be like, no, he's still Bruce to me. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, bro. Then you keep doing that. You keep being offensive.
Right. So when he makes jokes like, oh, I'm sorry, what did you say?
It wasn't a joke.
Yeah, that's
how I really feel.
He wanted to be Super
Saiyan. He wanted to, thought he was a superhero for a long time.
Me too.
As a kid. It's not funny.
It's not funny.
I'm not in that.
But when he's
14, he knows that. But when he was like,
but that's
6 years old, he was like, don't call me.
It's offensive because they feel like they are really in this like civil rights struggle where they are like uncomfortable in their body. They are going through all of these hardcore changes, and you're trivializing it. But that's what it is, though. They're going through all of these crazy changes. They are getting bits and pieces snipped off, going through hormone therapy, going through crazy stuff, getting killed, going through all of these illegal means to,
look the way they feel. To look the way they feel. And I know two people that successfully have crossed over from woman to man and that are transgender.
I know.
And if you did not know them,
you wouldn't know.
Names and all that shit. No more brass, no more vagina. It's like crazy. So, and they changed their name. And it's like, all right, sure.
I know when I joke around them too, and they know.
Well, I believe that the body is just a vessel.
It is.
So whatever you have, like your soul and your spirit, that is what really makes you you. Exactly. You know what I'm saying?
So then it goes back to what's the big deal with black men being feminine? Why is it such a big deal in the black community?
I think that has a lot to do with power.
I think it's just
and the way power has been.
Well, it goes back to like the whole a lot of old school black guys will say like this is just a white man's plan to dumb us down and make us look more
to emasculate
which is bullshit because some of the greatest bands from the 60s and 70s were leotards, bro.
Yeah, they were leotards.
We forget about that. Prince is the baddest motherfucker on the planet.
Yeah.
5'4", high heels, walk better than a lot of women out there feeling it.
And
Rick James.
No, he was like fluid, and it's always been fluid. So are we just now evolving, or have we always been?
No, we've always been, but we lost sight. We're people of color, marginalized people. We're quick to forget and to act like, oh my God, because everything happens in spurts and in errors. Like I look at life like like a basketball game. And I feel like in the 60s to the 70s, that was like the first quarter and everything. We just got our freedom. We out here with white folks. We intermingling. We doing coke with white women, getting them pregnant, all this shit. And life was great. 80s, we got raw, we got hip hop, we got rap music, blah 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 blah. So it's all about wearing baggy clothes and look. That look was trash, by the way. And in the 90s, same shit. 2000s, we wearing long tees with Superman, all this bullshit. We evolve every decade. There's a new thing. And for the people,
I think it was
it's a new thing, just like the 90s fashion and like that culture coming back, and these kids that are in high school that have no fucking idea because it was born in 2001 trying to emulate the culture that we all grew up on. But it came back. It's not a new it's not a new thing to us. It's brand new to these kids. They don't fucking know. And then the younger but like still on the cusp millennials, the Uzi Verts of the world, and the young thugs who are wearing dresses and purses and Crocs and they're just doing something completely different because it's not leotards anymore. It's dresses, it's clogs, it's handbags. But as long as it says Dolce & Gabbana, it's cool because it's a $600,000 bag. Like that's the difference. And the kids are like, yo, if it ain't Balenciaga, you know what I'm saying? But because it's attached to a brand that's recognized, that these kids don't even understand, will never be able to afford, it's accepted. It's accepted and it's acceptable. So that's what, like, the older heads and the younger heads that are around our age and younger who are battling with this shit, like I said earlier, you just gotta understand that if it ain't you and it ain't affecting your fucking life on a day-to-day basis, let it be what it is. You don't have to, if you don't want to be progressive with the rest of us and move forward, then stay your ass in the back. It's that simple. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I really just think it comes back to like power, being accepted, not being accepted. I mean, like Lauryn Hill said it, like, who made these rules? We're so confused.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God.
Like the people on top will make it stop because they don't want this whole thing that they're gonna fall. I really think, who made these rules? You know what I'm saying? There's a purpose behind that. Somebody made these rules to keep people oppressed, right? And I think that
100,000 was just
it's
like
keeping people contained in a box. You know what I'm saying?
And it's one of the greatest.
I don't think it's artistic.
It is the rule, bro.
When you're denied access to something,
you just described it in the Bible as rules.
When you're denied access to something based on your behavior, that's a rule.
Yeah.
But that's just crazy.
I just.
If you're denied access to a sisterhood because of your behavior, that's a rule.
Yep.
Those are codes of conduct.
Exactly. Talk about it.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think, a grown man saying that, okay, today I feel like I want to use a girl's bathroom. I just don't think
that's creepy shit.
I don't know.
That's creepy shit. Listen, that's creepy shit. I'm not gonna unless I really need to go, I'm not gonna go to the woman's bathroom. What is that?
What is that?
That's different.
Like, you can't.
No.
How is it different?
Listen,
my little girl is in there.
You just said, you said a few minutes ago that you would have a problem with the man.
Listen, I'm just asking questions here. I'm not arguing. I'm not
arguing either. You said that you would have a problem with a man.
Personally, yes.
Exactly.
Because I believe in gender roles, and that's how I raise my child. That's what I believe. But that doesn't mean that it needs to be the rule for everybody else. I didn't impose these rules. I just enjoy the benefits of them.
If you're washing your hands in the bathroom and I come out
there are certain parts of these rules that I don't adhere to.
Got you.
Right? So that's my choice.
Exactly.
That's what I can do.
But it's also my choice to go up in the woman's bathroom and pee and use one of the stalls. When you come out, I come out.
No, because your choice was taken away because it's a rule that you can't go in a woman's bathroom. Do you understand what I'm saying?
You're right. But if it's an emergency, like I was alluding to a couple minutes ago, and I need to go.
If it's an emergency.
And I'm like, oh, my bad, sister. Wash your hands.
Now this is like a whole...
it's different.
There's individual bathrooms too. Like, that's
Gender neutral bathrooms. Yeah, which is like...
God forbid the other bathroom is so far.
But I'm saying you were were just promoting, like, letting people be who they are, like letting them decide what they want to do as far as gender roles.
And
like,
me,
but then you said
to the bathroom.
But then you said it's creepy if a man goes into a woman's bathroom. You can't say both in the same breath. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, what's the difference?
But you won't let me be in the bathroom either. So what's the difference?
I'm not saying that I disagree with you. I'm just trying to get your understanding because you're playing like both sides here.
I think there's different tiers. Like, I feel like I would actually, like, when I was talking about codes of conduct, I was actually talking about, like, if men can be sensitive enough to be like, you just made me cry right now. Like, if, you know, like, I don't know, whatever, like, getting manis and petties and being like, yeah, I'm souped, I got a mani and petty, or whatever. Like, I think those are, like, separate. I mean, not separate, they're related, but they're on a different level than, like, being like, you know what?
Yeah.
I am a man, and I'm Teresa, but I'd rather you call me like Tom or something, and I'm gonna, you know, I'm just gonna use the men's.
So where's the boundary though? Where do you draw the line?
Should we draw a line and just let people do what they want?
Should we?
I can still find it creepy for a random dude to just willingly go into the women's bathroom.
I'm not accustomed to it. I'm not.
If you don't need to go in there and there's urinals available in the men's room, why you in the women's room, bruh? That's creepy. To me, you look like.
To you, it's creepy, but to him, it's his choice.
But to him, he probably a pedophile. Listen. Like, there's no reason.
People will take advantage of it.
People will. And this is
maybe
why.
He's not a pedophile. Maybe he just made the choice.
Right. He probably ain't, but there's probably a pedophile out there that's straight and that's a grown man that likes little ass girls.
So in that sense, are gender roles protected?
In what sense?
Like if a grown man is not allowed to go into a woman's bathroom and you see a grown man going in there, automatically he's a pedophile? Like,
oh no, I wouldn't assume that, but I would have it in the back of my mind.
Something's off.
Like,
but it's related.
If I know that little girls are
it's related. It's related because this gender norm says that this grown man is not supposed to be in this woman's bathroom. Right, but on the same token, like, this man's an individual and he has the choice to go into this. Like, where do we draw the line?
See how complicated that sounds?
It is complicated.
No, it's not, though. It's really not. Because it
is complicated. That's why we haven't solved it in millennia.
At that point, what you're talking about, it goes beyond the gender norms, and that's just right from wrong. Because no grown-ass man should be using the women's room.
And how do you know?
What about when Bruce Jenner was feeling like he's a woman and he wants to go
to work?
But how are we going to gauge that?
Before though.
But what about before that? What about before that? He just felt like he was a woman.
Messy, man. Like,
super messy.
I think it is messy. Like,
and there's no definitive answer.
My personal thing would be like based on anatomy. Like, I would just scratch the whole, like.
Yeah, but people are arguing that anatomy is fluid too.
Let me just finish real quick, because I would try to break down that construct by actually making it about anatomy instead of about identity. That's how I would break down the construct if I had some sort of power over, like, social identities and stuff like that.
What about androgynous people? Where would they fit in?
What's androgynous?
Like, you can't tell whether or not they're
ambiguous people?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I would just trust people to be like, listen, I have a stick or not, and you know what I'm saying, I'm going to go to the urinal, or I'm going to go to...
But if you see somebody who looks physically female, but they got a stick going into,
No, I'm saying... I would just make that, like,
known. But what would your...
How would you enforce it? I wouldn't be able to enforce it. How would I enforce it? I wouldn't be able to. But I'm just saying, like, instead of making society think of bathrooms as, like, a gender identity thing, I would design toilets for people whose anatomy...
But everybody can use the same toilet.
Y'all can't use urinals?
Y'all can use toilets. Why do you need urinals?
That's what I'm saying.
No,
but that's what he's saying.
Women cannot use urinals.
That's what I'm saying. But if everybody can use toilets, why don't we just put toilets everywhere?
Facts.
Why do we have gender separative?
Well, then that would make it all about identity. That would make it all
about identity. We don't have to sit down with people.
Yeah.
So it goes back to, where do we draw the line? How do we draw the line?
If I pee, I can stand up and do that without getting it all over my legs. Y'all can't. So that's why urinals exist.
I'm not questioning why you're in those groups. I know
I'm
why
just
you're
trying
in
to think of
those
a solution to break it down.
There's none because it's messy as fuck. It's a
Because you do have to think about
bedroom.
public safety. God forbid a straight man who's not transgender, who's not even from the LGBT community, goes in and molests a little 6-year-old girl or a little 8-year-old girl that just ran in quick to pee, and now you're like, that's on your conscience. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy.
That's where we're going. Because all these rules that you guys don't like is actually put in place to kind of.
That's what I was asking.
I don't think all of them are put in place to protect
They
people.
absolutely are.
That's the whole.
No, but I don't think all of them are. Like, I'm talking like the simple ones that I was talking about, like about your own behavior. Those rules are not put in place to protect people. The ones about the bathrooms, obviously, we just talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
But you know,
but we just decided that we can't even figure out how to design bathrooms because we can't because there's a gray area of people who we can't, like, it's not on us to decide whether or not they're male or female because we can't tell by physically looking at them, right? So what do you do with those people?
Let them use the bathroom. If they look creepy, I'ma think they're creepy, but they use the bathroom. If the women are cool with it and they don't do nothing and no one comes out scared ass,
right? But then somebody could actually be using the bathroom that you think is creepy that is actually a creep.
then that's on the women that are in the bathroom. That's not for me to decide.
I mean, it's a good point because there's also people.
That's why it's so touchy.
Fucking messy as hell. I don't want to talk about this no more.
This was the topic.
Yeah, it went off in a lot of different directions. But
Yeah.
I think it
That
has
was
more
also
actual
relevant,
acceptance.
though. It was also relevant because all of this shit matters.
Of
It's
course.
what's
Okay.
like masculinity, femininity, and gender roles is like huge. Like there's so many different stigmas within just those three concepts, and it is what it is. You have to make the right decision. Like it's on you as a person to respect everyone for their creed, race, religion, whatever the fuck it is.
I just think that
So-
people are designed to like be interdependent. Like people are not designed to live in isolation. It's scientifically proven. People are not designed to feel alone in this world.
No.
And so I think that's where people
like
get
that.
manipulated. Like, yo, if I come up to, like, if let's say I'm gay and I come out to my family and they're like, we don't want no parts with you. That's my family. Like, that is the only thing. They were the ones that actually developed me as a human being.
Yes.
So now what do I have? I feel like I have nothing. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Unless you get a new fam.
Unless you got a new family, but at the end of the day, you know, like
You want yours.
you want yours, and not only that's gonna play in your head every time you go into a room with new people. Like, are these people gonna accept me or not?
Yeah.
You know, so I think it comes down to like being accepted or not,
But
being
the question is,
received or
do they
not.
have to? Do they
You
have
should
to?
Just
be
do they have to
independent on
Do
that.
they have to accept you because you're gay?
They don't have to, but I think they have to respect you.
Yeah.
They don't
And
have to.
that's the teamwork. That's the tolerance.
Right,
That's
but a
the
lot of people, when they don't
It's
accept
still
you,
crazy.
they won't respect you either. So,
Yeah, that's because we keep these words like exclusive of each other.
yep. So I just feel like that's kind of like what it comes down to. Like, gender roles are they're consistent and they persist because people are afraid of not being accepted. Is what I'm trying to say. Like, people, even though they don't have to accept me, I don't want to feel like that. Nobody wants to feel like exiled.
Everybody wants to matter.
Yeah.
Mattering is an important part of the human experience.
Because
And that's why these
if
things
you're just
persist.
if you're just existing, then you know.
People
There are people who can be happy on their own and not.
Yeah, that's
really
because
care
they've
about
already
the
found their
opinions of
purpose.
others.
They found their purpose already and they're willing to live or die for it. But like most people in society, that's why we call it a society, because people comply with it. And they're just like, yo, if I can't be accepted, then I'm just gonna act like I'm gonna hide myself until I am accepted. You know, fake it till you make it. Like all these sayings, they actually
Or they
mean
act
something.
out and they, you know.
They
Force you
actually
to pay
mean
attention
something.
to them.
Yeah, they actually mean something. All these sayings, and like people just don't want to be treated like that. You know?
So let's just wrap it up. I think the key thing here today is more about tolerance. You know, just be tolerant,
Which is crazy.
You know, just I know it's tough because we all have our own pre-notion.
Our own values.
You know,
Our
our
own
values.
values.
Yeah, you know, I might not like a gay guy, but that doesn't mean, you know what I'm saying, on the outside, I'm not going to be nice to him. You know what I'm saying? But when I get to my house, I get to practice what I do now.
You don't wash your hands.
You know what I'm saying?
But also don't think of him.
I'm sorry.
But listen, but but she
We
has
have to be able to laugh about that type of
But
shit.
I want people to take away what she just said because we should end on that note. I think.
Yeah.
That
You shouldn't think of anybody as less of a person or less than
most definitely.
because of
Anything.
any way that
Any
they live their life.
Any difference.
Because it ain't your mother.
we got enough supremacists out here.
Alright, y'all. Another episode, cuz. It's Liddy. We out. Until next week.
See ya. Later.